तत्सवितुरवरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय। भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय। शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय। स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी प्रभुदानंद भगवान की जय। माता पिता की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। स्वामी शुद्धानंद भगवान की जय। साध्वी आनंद ज्योति जी की जय। सभी देवी देवताओं की जय। मंगल भवन अमंगल हारी द्रवहु सुदशरथ अजिर बिहारी दीन दयाल वीरज संभारी हरहु नाथ मम संकट भारी। श्री राम जय जय राम। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता chapter 4 and we are looking into verse number 16, 17. We are looking into verse number 17. We are looking into verse number 18. कर्मण्य कर्मयः पश्येद कर्माणि च कर्मयः स बुद्धिमान् मानुषेषु स युक्तः कृत्सन् कर्म कृत्। The one who sees actionlessness in action and action in actionlessness is wise among human beings. That person is yogi, who has done everything that is to be done. The person who can see actionlessness in action and actionlessness in actions is wise among human beings. In this we have seen we are seeing the extensive commentary Bhashyam written by Sri Shankaracharya, where he says what is to be done and what is not to be done are both considered to be karma, actions. Killing, for example, and helping someone are two different actions. Killing is prohibited action, nishedha karma, and helping other person is enjoyed action, vihita karma. This we have seen inaction in action, inaction in action. We saw the results of action belongs to the doer. not doing karma also requires a doer. And now we will see samsara, the orbit of action and result, where this take place, where the actions take place. Krishna calls upon this person, the one who sees things as they are in terms of reality, has wisdom and is therefore wise. Wisdom does not mean that the person has generated a new line of thinking. Wisdom is correction of error. There is no new line of thinking which comes into. Here Krishna refers to the person who is able to see karma and akarma as they really are, as a buddhiman, a wise person among human beings. Sah buddhiman manusheshu. Krishna also calls this person a yogi, sahayukta, meaning that he or she has lived a life of yoga, which has paid off in terms of wisdom. Yoga being meant for gaining this knowledge, and such a person living a life of karma yoga has gained what has been offered to him. He is a real karma yogi and accomplished yogi, understanding what is to be understood. He or she is a person of fulfillment. Kritsan karma karta, karma krit. Samsara, the orbit of action and result. To know oneself as a karta is to know oneself as a bhokta. Akarta, abhokta, one who is not an enjoyer. If you are not the enjoyer of the result of any action, then there is no punya or papa for you. And when there is no punya or papa, there is no sukha or dukkha. Meaning that you are above sukha and dukkha. Sukha and dukkha being the net result of karma are also karma phalas, the result of action. Karma phala is the result of action. You may have performed certain karma and received some money. Because of that money you have big house, you are very comfortable and happy. Being comfortable, being happy is karma phala for you. Dukkha is also karma phala. The house you bought turned out to be in a bad neighborhood. You spent hundreds and crores of rupees and you found that your neighborhood is bad. You will be happy with the house until it was broken into and you were robbed. No matter how many new alarm system you installed, the result are the same frequent robberies and vandalism. So the same house that made you sukhi for some time has now made you dukhi, unhappy. Either way, it is all karma phala, punya and papa. You asked for it and you got it. Because all unseen result, punya and papa, fructify in the form of sukha and dukkha. All karmas are capable of producing sukha and dukkha for karta. As long as you take yourself to be karta, you are subject to sukha and dukkha. Till you are the karta, till you take yourself as the karta, you are subject to sukha and dukkha. To be subject to sukha and dukkha is samsara. To be part of sukha and dukkha is samsara. Sukha and dukkha themselves are not samsara. The notion that you are subject to them is samsara and makes you a sansari. That the physical body is subject to pain is a fact. But if you say, I am subject to pain, there is samsara. I am subject to pain is different from the physical body is subject to pain. I am subject to pain is different from the physical body is subject to pain. If you say the body is subject to pain, it is simple truth, because it states a fact about empirical world. The creation is like that. The body is endowed with the sensation of pain as means of protection. Otherwise, you would not pay attention to it. Pain indicates that something is wrong and need attending to. Therefore, physical pain is an important part of creation. That the body is subject to pain is true. I am subject to pain is a notion which is samsara. It is not true, because Atma is not the enjoyer of the result of action, karma phala bhokta. Atma is not the enjoyer because it is not the karta, the doer. One who knows that he or she is not the enjoyer is called kritsana karma krit. When one is able to recognize oneself as free from doership, he or she also becomes free from enjoyership. When one is able to recognize oneself as free from doership, that he is not a karta, he also becomes free from the doership, enjoyership. There is no enjoyership also. If you are not the karta, then there is no enjoyment for you. Being free from enjoyership means the punya and papa standing in one's account are taken care of. Such a person who is free from the senses of doership and enjoyership is called kritsan karma krita. For him, everything that has to be done now or later has been done. To new incarnation has to be taken by the person. No karma remains to prompt another birth. In this life too, whatever the person thought he or she would do is gone, because the person is ananda, purna, fullness. He or she is above sukha and dukkha, liberated from subjunction of karma, and therefore kritsan karma krit. The person who is free from the doership, the person who recognizes himself is free from doership, also becomes free from enjoyership. And when the person is free from bhoktritvam, the punya and papa are gone. There is no punya and no papa for him. No karma remains to prompt another birth. There is no birth for him now, because there is no punya or papa which leads to birth. In this life too, whatever the person thought he or she would do is gone, because the person is ananda, purna. Once you gain this knowledge, the person is ananda, purna, fullness. He or she is above sukha and dukkha. There is no sukha above, not there is no sukha and dukkha left, because there is no punya papa, there is no doership, and there is no doership, then there is no enjoyment of sukha or dukkha. When there is no enjoyment of sukha and dukkha, the one is liberated from karma, and therefore he is called kritsan karma krit. The one who is kratsana karma krit sees very clearly that there is no action whatsoever in action. Karmani akarma darshanam. And that there is action in action. The one who is kritsan karma krit, he sees that there is no action in inaction. Akarmani karma darshanam. In his understanding, inaction, akarma, the so-called absence of action, is converted into action because of the presence of the karta. The one who says, I perform this action, is also the one who says, I do not perform the action. To say I do not perform this action does not mean that there is no action, because this particular inactivity is dependent upon or is centered on the karta, the doer. Kartritva is a notion. I am the doer, aham karta. Because this notion is there, the person says, I do not perform this action now. Which does not mean that he or she does not perform any action at all. While the person may not perform certain action, he or she still continues to perform some action or the other. No one can remain even for a second performing no action whatsoever, as we saw in verse number 5 in the 3rd chapter. Therefore, it is impossible for everyone to say, I am not doing any action. It is just not possible. Even making a such statement in acting, because speaking is an action. A person who says, I perform no action at all, I am keeping quiet. In performing the action of speaking, there is no such thing as inaction in the sense of total absence of inactivity. When Krishna says that the wise person is able to see action in inaction, he means that the person does not see inaction as an absence of action. What the person is able to see is action is free from action, and not the absence of action. In the absence of action, there is action, and even that action, the wise person, Buddhiman, is able to see freedom from action. The Buddhiman has the wisdom, the buddhi, that enables him or her to see inaction in action, because the person sees Atma as a karta. Thus, there is recognition of the fact that the self is not an actor in any way whatsoever. The self does not perform any action. No action. And in the presence of all activities take place. And in its presence, all activities take place. The problem here is that all actions are centered on the karta, the actor. Only when the karta is there, there is possibility of action. Therefore, all action emanates from karta, which is not separate from aham, the atma. The problem comes because person thinks that he or she is the karta. This thinking is particular notion. This particular notion is the only evil there is. If at all there is such a thing as original sin, it is only in notion, I am the karta. Because from this all problems arise. I am the karta is a notion. And it is this notion that binds a person to karma. Because, you can ask why? Because the one who is the enjoyer of the result of action is the one who performed the action. Karta eva bhokta bhavati. When I perform an action, a result accrues. And this result accrues to me, the karta alone. In this way, I am bound by the result of my action, and thus by the action themselves. Even a person who makes money and distributes it to others, leaving none for himself or herself, accrues the result of good action. People rightly exalt such a person, which is karma phala, that belongs only to the person who distributes the money. But the person is still a karta to whom karma phala accrues, because of what he or she is also an enjoyer. Karma and its result, karma phala, are the cause of samsara. They account for all of the one's problem. The result of karma in the form of punya and papa, according to this particular model, account for one's incarnation also. We have seen that karma is born out of desire, kama, and is therefore nothing but an expression of desire in form of likes and dislikes, raga and dveshas. Although samsara is accounted for by karma phala itself is only possible because there is karma, which in turn is possible because there is kama, desire. And for whom is the kama? The karta. Therefore, karta is the cause for all the karmas and karma phalas. And because of ignorance, one takes oneself to be the karta. The problem here is that if you are really a karta, you have no way of getting out of samsara. You are in its orbit, the orbit of action and its result, karma chakra. You are into the karma chakra. Because of karma phala there is birth, janma, and because of birth there is karma to perform. If you are able to gain human body or its equivalent, then you perform new karmas and gather more karma phalas, thereby perpetuating the cycle. Because of karma there is karma phala, because karma phala there is janma, because janma there is karma, and because of karma there is karma phala. And orbit you will continue to be in as long as you take yourself to be the karta. If you take yourself to be the karta, you will be in the karma chakra. There is no way of getting out of this chakra, sansara chakra, wheel of sansara. Unless you get out of the orbit of karma, karma phala, janma, karma. And how do you get out? The only way is to nullify the kartatva, doership. If the doership is real, you will not be able to nullify it, because anything real cannot be nullified. By the same reasoning, if doership can be nullified, it is not real. How to get out of this orbit of samsara? There is an argument that suggests that by performing only good karmas, a person will be liberated from samsara. It cannot be true. To perform only good karma means that all the action done by a person have to be good. There would be no wrong actions at all. This is not possible at all, as we shall see later. A person doing only good action will gain only punya, but gaining any amount of punya will not release the person from this cycle. Punya being karma phala, the person with lot of punyas will have lot of births and maybe lot of comforts. And the tendency of the person who have more and more comforts in the form of money and power, for example, is eventually towards wrong action. More the money a person gathers, more the power he or she may have, and power tends to corrupt the person who has it. If by having gathered so much of punya, a person could conceivably gain absolute power, then he or she may become absolutely corrupt. Absolute corruption will then result in the accrual of papa, for which more births are gained. Furthermore, it is impossible for a person to perform only good action, punya karma. No one can avoid doing papa karma at some time or the other. All it takes is one unconscious swatting of a mosquito. Unknowingly, you are destroying millions of bacteria every day. Nor are all the varieties of papa karma known to you. Some are unknown too. Therefore, you cannot avoid doing papa karma altogether. Even if you could do nothing but punya karma, you would not get out of the orbit of samsara. Karma itself keeps the samsara going. Only when the karta is not there will there be the absence of karma for you. And if karta is really, karma will definitely be there. If karta is there, karma will definitely be there. However, the karta is not absolutely real. It is only a superimposition upon the Atma, which is absolutely real. It means that while the karta, the doer is Atma, I Atma is not the doer. This being kartatva, doership, becomes mithya, having no independent existence because it depends upon I, whereas I, the Atma, does not depend on doership, it is Satya. The definition of mithya and Satya. Anything that does not exist on its own, that depends on the existence upon something else, that draws flesh and blood from something else, or for it to exist, it is called mithya. That which does not depend upon anything else in order to exist is Satya. In terms of reality, then a shirt becomes mithya and the cloth it is made of becomes Satya. The cloth itself becomes mithya and the yarn that makes up the cloths becomes Satya. The yarn becomes mithya and its fiber becomes Satya. The fiber becomes mithya and the particles that make up the fiber become Satya. And particles become mithya and the concept becomes Satya. The concept becomes mithya and Atma becomes Satya. At this point a question may arise. If Atma becomes mithya, this question is not valid because the entire inquiry is possible only when there is an Atma, which is Satya, which is not negatable. Atma is not negatable. I am neither the doer nor the enjoyer. Consciousness that is self-evident, Atma, does not need to be revealed by anything else. The self alone is self-evident and everything else is evident to the self, Atma. That is not the karta. The karta is something that comes and goes. For instance, there is no kartatva, doership, in deep sleep. Since I am always there, self-evident, if I am the karta, then the karta should not come and go. I should always be karta. If I am an enjoyer, bhokta, I should always be a bhokta. But this is not so. Sometimes I am karta and sometimes I am bhokta. It means that I am neither karta nor bhokta. Karta appears when the mind, antahkaran, is there. Doership. Kartatva means the status of being the subject with reference to any type of activity, whether it is mental activity like perception, inference and thinking, or physical activity. For any activity, a subject is always necessary and this subject is called ego, ahankara or karta. The word ego must be understood well because there are a number of problems associated with its general use. Ego is that which owns up to any type of activity. For instance, when I say I see, I say this is my sight. The one who owns up to the activity of seeing, the one who is subject behind the seeing or behind hearing, tasting, smelling, thinking or doing anything is what is meant by ego, karta or ahankara. Surrender is an attitude. You have to surrender. To say that one should surrender one's ego to the Lord is very common statement. We hear it every day. That is too simplistic in terms of understanding what is meant by surrender. First of all, I do not know who or what the Lord is. So why should I surrender? The only ego that I have to this Lord, as it is, I have only few things, and these things are owned by this ego. If I surrender it to the Lord, what will I get in return? Everything, I am told. The question that would arise would be, if the ego is already surrendered, who will get this everything? Once I have surrendered my ego, I become totally decimated. Then who is there to get anything out of that surrender? Nobody. Therefore, that type of surrender is useless. Also, the next question is, who is surrendering the ego? Somebody has to do the surrendering. If it is the ego that has to be surrendered itself, and that is not possible. Again, if I am wearing a coat, I can surrender the coat. I can hang it somewhere or put it on someone's shoulders. Also, when I am the owner of the coat, it is easy to surrender. If I am not the owner of the coat, I can ask you to take it, but I cannot surrender it because it does not belong to me. Similarly, I am told that the ahankara, the ego, belongs to the Lord, that I must surrender it. How can I surrender that does not belong to me? I can only surrender that belongs to me. And if it belongs to the Lord, how is it that I do not know this? In fact, I think that everything belongs to me, including the Lord. Why else would I address him as my Lord? To address the Lord, I must be there because I am here. He is the Lord. If I am not here, where is the Lord? He is the Lord because I call him Lord. And if there is a Lord, then this Lord includes everything. Then I have nothing to surrender. I have only to know. Furthermore, if I have to surrender to Lord who is separate from me, then I am the ego. Who is to surrender this ego? The ego alone has to surrender. Who can the ego surrender? The one who surrenders is the ego. And being the one who surrenders the ego can only surrender what it owns. The owner cannot be surrendered. If the ego has to surrender to the Lord, something else must be there to surrender it, which can only be another ego. Because whoever owns up the act of surrendering is ego. The ego requires an ego, which requires yet another ego. Thus we find ourselves in infinite regression. How then we are going to surrender our ego to the Lord? Surrender is an attitude, a mature attitude. There is no other surrender than this. Surrender as such is not possible for the ego because it cannot surrender itself. But with an attitude of surrender, I can deflate the ego. I can appreciate that there is nothing in this creation that is authored by me. That everything is given to me, including my physical body, mind, and senses. What is given to me is not mine. When I say I am just a trustee, O Lord, and you are the giver, the ego is what tells me all this. The surrender can be only in terms of attitude. Then how does one get rid of samsara? Only by getting rid of the ego, the karta. And if surrender is not possible, how does one get rid of the ego? In name of getting rid of everything else, the ego remains in one form or the other because it cannot get rid of itself. It remains to say things like, I am the most charitable person around. Even a person who does not talk about his or her good action may think of himself or herself as humble person. and say, I never mention all these charities I have done. I do not boast about them. Ask anyone, and they will tell you that it is so. The ego knows that very well how to sustain, perpetuate itself in so many ways. Because the ego, the karta, is always there in one form or the other. It cannot be defeated except by the one who undertake an inquiry into it. Who am I? A person can study every philosophy there is, and the ego will remain saying, I am the philosopher. Only when the question, who am I, is asked, is the ego in trouble. Why? Because the ego, the karta, is really an imposter, a superimposition. There is no karta doership, in fact, because it is mithya, dependent on Atma. The destruction of self-ignorance through knowledge. This is all self-ignorance, and this ignorance has to be rectified by knowing, by the knowledge. This we will see tomorrow. Om Tat Sat. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Gurudevyo Namaha. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Om